Alpha from Intergalactic Gamer. Now I tried to do another PC build on an Intel iCore 7, but there's no way I can do it on a $500 budget, which I am focusing on, and this is probably going to be what I will buy in a later future, except the SSD. But let's get started. Now the first part that you probably want to know is going to be the CPU. Now I chose a $139, $140 AMD FX 8-core processor, FX 120, 3.1 gigahertz socket AM3 plus retail. And list price is $179.99, which is $180, but they're on a 22% sale, which is probably really not a sale. Many websites just do this to show you, to get you to buy the product if it's not selling well, or if it's selling well, but if you just want a lot of sales and you bumped up the price, but you didn't want it to really show. So here it is, and now what I'm mainly going to be doing is storing and exporting a lot of videos. So I chose a 1TB internal hard drive from Hitachi Ultrastar, A7K1000 1TB internal hard drive, serial ATA 300, 3.5, 7200 RPM. Now this hard drive is a very good hard drive, including that it has a 3-year warranty, which is the thing that sold me on this hard drive rather than the Western Digital green or Western Digital black caviar hard drives. Now this, it really doesn't have much specs on Amazon, but if you go on Newegg, it actually does have a lot of specs on everything, as Newegg always does. Now many customers give this a bad review, but I trust Hitachi since the thing I'm recording it on is a MacBook, and I opened up the MacBook and saw that my MacBook is using a 2.5 inch 5200 RPM. Wait, I don't know if it's 5200 RPM. I'm pretty sure it is, or 5000 RPM, somewhere around 5400 RPM. Sorry, I just got it. And it's a 2.5 inch, 320 gigabyte serial ATA. So I kind of trust Hitachi, even though it says the list price is $150, which is actually not true. I think that's a mistake on Amazon's part, but it's probably just the retailer who's selling it. Now the next thing is our computer CPU fan. Now the reason I didn't get it FX 8300 is because I will be overclocking it. Now this overclock will probably go up to 4.5 gigahertz on this one air cooling processor. As you can see, it is 124 millimeters wide, 65 millimeters long, not including the fan, just the heatsink, and 160 millimeters tall. Now this will fit perfectly in our case, and it'll have no problems at all. Now our motherboard, what we will be putting everything on. Now this is a Gigabyte GA-78 LMT-USB 3, which it has USB 3.0 ports right there, and it has an Ethernet port and everything else that you may need. Now as you can see, the heatsink around the CPU is very intensive, so therefore I will be doing a lot of CPU intensive tasks, which sold me on this motherboard rather than the ASRock Pro. Now next, we will have the RAM. Now, as you can see, it's out of stock, but it may not be. There's also another Kingston RAM, which I'll link in the description below. Now, the Kingston RAM has a CAS latency of 10. This has a CAS latency of 9, which is much quicker, and it'll do the job definitely for any gaming and or rendering. Now we have the Team Vulcan 8GB 1600 MHz DDR3 RAM. Now this is a desktop model RAM, so don't try to put this in your laptop, obviously, if you're upgrading your laptop and or replacing RAM. Now this is an option. If you would like 12 gigabytes of RAM, you could go for the CAS latency 10 4 gigabytes of RAM for $40. or you can go with a 32 gigabyte SSD from SanDisk, which is only $40 as the RAM. Now, if you are not going to be doing a lot of RAM intensive tasks, I recommend to get the SanDisk SSD. It'll speed your computer up and you can boot Windows easily on 32 gigabytes and run a few programs on that. Next, our graphics card. Now, this is actually a very cheap graphics card, but it is intensively fast. The memory is actually rated at 6,000. Yes, I'm not kidding, 6,000 megahertz. That's 6 gigahertz. And the core clock is 1.05 and 896 stream processors. Now, the GPU is a Sapphire Radeon R7 260X 2GB 128-bit GDDR5 PCI Express 3.0 Crossfire support video card. Now, this is very good for, as I said, rendering, which I will be doing, and games like Call of Duty Ghosts or the new one that's coming out, which it will definitely run at least 60 frames per second. And that we know that it runs Battlefield 4 amazingly. Now, this does not have two fans, but for its price, it is amazing. Unlike the Asus, which costs $200, but gives the same speed as this card, but it does not have the best cooling, so it won't be able to you won't be able to overclock it very much. Now, finally, we have Roswell ATX Mintower Black Gaming Computer Case Galaxy 01. Now, this motherboard has a 3.0 USB 3.0 port in the front and a 120mm fan in the side. Now, it comes with a fan right here and a fan in the back right here. If you can see really closely, that's a fan right over there. Actually, this photo is much better. This fan comes and this LED fan comes, which is amazing for its price, which is only $50. Now, you can get a discount on the combo, which I've looked at, but I'd rather go with the Hitachi hard drive. Now, lastly but not least, our power supply. Now, our power supply is a 430 watt, 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply. Now, this power supply is just enough for what you need. And over here, it shows how many watts, 344 wattage, which is just about 90 watts below of what this is. Now, since we will be overclocking the CPU, this will probably go up to almost about, I'd say, 380, 40 more watts, which this will handle easily. And maybe I might be overclocking this to 1866 megahertz RAM. Now, this has been a build. Now, if you do want a nice display, you could take this out, and if you want to take out the extra 4 gigs of RAM, like I recommended, you could take this out by $39.99, and you could get a $80 display. It's actually very cheap right now. Before, it used to be around $100, but if you go to price on PC Part Picker, it actually shows the cheapest one. Now, let's just load this in. And actually, its price just went down. And it's at $64.99 for a, oh wait, nope. If you want a 19-inch monitor, Samsung, $75. So that's about $35 over, which is $337 in a total price. But if you do have a monitor like me, I'd recommend to just get the extra 4 gigs of RAM or the SSD, which I will be getting the SSD. Now, if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I will be doing much more of these, and comment if you want me to do a $1,000 Intel build or a $1,000 AMD base build, which will be amazing because I have much more room to work with. I love making these builds, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.